It's been a busy day here at TriMet Central Headquarters in Massachusetts. Took me most of the afternoon just to get through. Oh, speaking of which, I haven't to get through Rep City's calls, man. Man, he had a ton of them today. Here they are. Here, let's stick a picture in there and post this baby. And then I want to do a little bit of that board meeting, which is just horrendous. But, I consider it like taking a class, Like if you want, you have to take this, you have to read the material to pass the class. And that's how I consider. I think we'll use a lot of ATU pictures right now since they're in a fight with the beloved masters of TriMet. They're unbelievable neoliberal masters at TriMet. Now, where were we here? Yeah, this head bureaucrat here, Alan Alito, who's been there, I don't know how long. He was there when I was there, and he was there after I was there, is telling us about his strategy, which means nothing to anybody except the bureaucrats.
We're in a reset period where our demand has reduced significantly. We expect over the years that will grow back up, but we really have to be, very much responding to demand and making sure that we are tailoring our service levels and keeping our costs at a point where we're addressing.
Jesus. And as he's talking about costs, I guarantee you one thing: none of these people are going to lose a penny out of any of this depression. He's going to get a lot of pay. He's going to get a lot of pay. Nothing's going to bother them. And what's going on here? Are we having internet problems? Let's see. We are connected, secured. Let's reload the page. Oh.
And then that also means restoring service if and when it makes sense on those lines that are most likely to attract returning and new ridership, so that we can really support that recovery in terms of ridership.
Yeah, and I feel about it.
The second one on here is around.
It's all lies. It's all lies. All lies. The only thing that got cut was ridership. Nothing else got cut. So it's all lies. Just like, well, we gave $5 trillion to our friends, but you don't get to have any more $1,200. You don't get to get any more $1,200. Let me see. Rich getting richer during COVID. Here we go. There we go. Business Insider. How billionaires got 600. Okay, turn off the ad blocker. Okay, motherfucker. Jesus. All right. No, I don't want you. All right, here it is. How billionaires got $637 billion richer. Oh, shit. What is this? Yeah, they want me to watch it. How billionaires got $637 billion richer during the coronavirus. But here. Well, we don't have any money for your transit services. Sorry. When it gets like we can do that, we will do that. So all of these people conspiring together, from Trump all the way to TriMet, conspiring together to lie to you about everything.
Reimagine safety and security. We're doing the reimagining right now. And so by the time we get to FY22, we will be in the implementation and finalization stage, and that's why this is worded the way.
All right, let's wait. Did he change slides? All right, let's see. Let's turn him off because he doesn't sing. I'll read it. Ridership and recovery strategies. Develop predictions for ridership demand. Yes. Deliver service and capital plans for the most likely scenario. Yeah, get those bureaucrats working. I think we actually did this yesterday. Reimagine safety and security. Yeah, reimagine it. It's been such a failure all the way to now. Implement and finalize development of short, medium, and long-term strategies. Doesn't say anything. It's just bureaucracy. Added value to customers across the region. That means nothing. Develop new measures and targets that better measure success. Yeah, baby. How useful is that? Further update strategies and continue implementation to reduce carbon emissions. Yay for that. I'm sure that will help you. And then we're next section, internal business practices. See? Implement IT strategic plans. Yes. Implement the strategic information technology plan to make our systems more reliable. You have the worst fucking IT there is, man. Just listen to how unreliable your radio is. Enhance equity for employees. Yay, right. Yeah, we did do this yesterday. Yeah.
Third here is also recognizing that, our ridership has changed so dramatically. And it also ties back into the shift that we were using in sort of philosophy of we are a transit provider. We are also a mobility manager.
You are not a mobility manager. You are a transit provider. But we're stuck with this fucking neoliberal crap now. And we can't get rid of it. Just like we're stuck with Trump, we're stuck with him. Okay? Same thing. Nobody wanted Trump. He lost the election. But they have a system set up so you get ruled over by the person the system decides you get, not the people. Same thing with TriMet. It's the same exact system they got here. You got a TriMet that doesn't represent you. We got a president that doesn't represent you. No difference. Same thing. Absolutely.
People to mobility options. That may be direct transit service. That may be something else. And when we only think about providing transit service, then one of the best measures of success is the number of boardings. But if we are a more fully rounded mobility manager,
now I get. So now I get it. I finally get it. I didn't get this until now. See, they're trying to figure out a way so that they can make themselves look better statistically. Since they're not getting the ridership, they're coming up with some other ways to make themselves look better statistically by calling them mobility. Oh, this is a good one, man.
Just the fact that we help somebody get on a bike, or we help somebody find their way to a parking ride, and other improvements to the individual's experience, that the economic opportunities that are afforded by mobility, and also to the benefits, environmental and social, that accrue to our community. None of those necessarily fully captured in ridership. And so this is about looking for other ways to understand that. And we do have efforts around that. And also specifically recognizes the carbon emissions, the benefit that reducing carbon emissions brings, but it recognizes that there may not be a one-to-one between ridership and that as well. In the next section, the IT strategic plan, which is essentially complete and now is in implementation, will be in implementation for the next few years.
For the next few years.
Necessary underpinning.
It's going to be an implementation for the next few years. In other words, the money train. Going to need money for this for the next few years, because we don't ever want it to actually get fixed, because then we'll be out of work. Come on, man. This is so obvious. This is such an obvious scam to anybody that understands organizations and business.
The capability of staff to deliver important items on behalf of the agency and for the community,
Bullshit.
And therefore that as a point of emphasis for the coming year. The next one, we talked about this a lot already, but I'll reemphasize, enhancing equity for employees. So continuing to implement the recommendations from the Employment Diversity Review, but also conducting an externally based internally based organizational cultural survey. and
They
develop
get it wrong on their report
to really understand how are our employees experiencing the experience of being within our agency.
I've already commented on this. 50% of the employees like Trump, 50% of the employees hate Trump, just like the rest of America. In other words, 50% are racist and 50% aren't. Okay, there you go. End of story.
Are we, where
you're getting nowhere, you're just creating bureaucracy.
We still have a lot to do, and what should we do about that? Also related to people and innovation is that resource management, developing strategies to align resources to our available financial capacity.
Listen to that. Develop resources to available. It's all bureaucracy. It's just all unbelievable, needless bureaucracy, all of it.
Knowing that what we heard from Dee will be the financial reality for the next few years. How do we be as efficient as we can with those as possible? And then under financial specifically, financial resiliency, planning for and responding to economic volatility, really trying to be as proactive as we can in this uncertain period. And then with the capital program, being being careful about that, continuing with those items that are either largely externally funded, large capital projects that need to go forward, key state of good repair replacements, and also keeping a sharp eye on the T2020 ballot measure and being responsive to that. We'll know well before we have to finalize the draft of the business plan what the outcome of that was, but obviously that will have a big impact on some of our efforts around capital program going forward. So that's the hopefully quick summary, and with that I just invite additional comments, thoughts, emphases, directions from all of you.
Great, thank you, Alan. I see Director Simmons has her hand up.
Yes, I have a question for Doug, and it has to do with the IT strategic plan.
That should be good.
A couple of years ago when I toured the command center, it became evident that there were limitations in our current technology being able to track another light rail. And we've been extending routes for buses, and have we had, what is entailed in the IT strategic plan that, is it more administrative operation? It was my understanding that we actually need to procure a whole new system to be able to expand service through the command center at that time.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think this is the organization's first ever IT strategy actually that we've just completed, and it's really extensive, and it actually covers not only what you say, because you're right, there is the operating system that moves trains and dispatches and such. It's at its capacity, and in some parts of it, because it's multi-segmented, some of it's end of life.
It's just insanity that they're still expanding. It's insanity that the plug hasn't been pulled on all of these expansions. It's just, this is Trump and TriMet, okay? He's just going about doing what he wants, and so are they. I really see it as a similar phenomenon. I really do. They're just going merrily along their way, avoiding reality, and so is he. There's no difference here as far as I'm concerned, other than he's more, obscene about it. But I mean, the same methodologies are being used. He's got his agenda. He's going to follow it no matter what. Nobody's going to stop him. And they have an agenda. They're going to follow it. Nobody's going to stop them.
So the Southwest Corridor project, should it be successful, not only through T2020, but the culmination of state and federal support, let's say we could pull a deal off, the $3 billion deal, in it will be a requirement to upgrade that's fundamental capacity. So that would be the trigger to address what you just suggested. Underneath it, we have still capacity.
I can't imagine that passing. It's got organized support against it. Usually businesses support tax increases because they can get some of the money. But the business community is not for this one. And it's going to hurt population. I mean, adding another payroll tax. Are you out of your mind? Yes, they're out of their mind. It's hubris. It's government hubris. All of these people are elites. All of them. Preying off the rest of us.
Capacity to run the red line expansion. So there's still
the red line
oxygen, if you will, in capacity underneath.
Is that the red line expansion? Completely unnecessary, complete pork boondoggle for no reason. It has no actual benefit to anything. Maybe you'll save 1 minute. It's just bullshit. It's bullshit.
Keep that for some more train cars and such. So we're okay there for the next number of years.
You're okay
but
there.
In the IT,
so how is it he's okay there, but not with service? You see, there's the question. Why are you okay there, but the service has to be cut? See, now that's the $1 million question. How come the service you're not okay with, but all these ridiculous, useless expansions you're okay with? Why? And I'll tell you why. It's a criminal operation is why. They prioritize one thing over the other, and you don't get a choice in which one they're going to do because they're running it from this point of view. He's hired specifically to make sure that money keeps flowing to special interest groups.
Key strategy, there is a shortage of staff and leadership. So part of what's we're deploying this year is the hiring up some more competency. And investing in competency.
Oh my God, they want to hire bureaucrats. Did you hear what he just said? He wants more pencil pushers now. In the middle of this shit, he wants more people to work at home doing nothing. And he'll get it because he runs everything.
Because everyone's been running so hard, so fast.
Yeah, they're running. You must have a terrible life.
Balls dropping.
It must be terrible to be at home like this, having to work so hard. Poor you. $400,000 a year.
Security is just a classic example of that everybody would probably see pretty quick. So we have some cyber investment, but we've got more resources in cyber to invest, for example.
Yeah.
Other examples include...
He's got money to throw around in cyber. But can't use that for direct service, right? No, hell no. That's for cyber.
The modernization of many of our programs. Many have been... The agency does an inordinately large amount of internal software support and programming. Yeah. We want to start evolving away from that and getting off the shelf things as part of our strategy, getting more where it economically makes sense to the cloud. It's a lot cheaper. The cloud has different risks. It doesn't mean because you send it to the cloud, the risk disappears. So we're going to be taking each part and saying what should go to the cloud, what shouldn't, and then a great example of quite a large initiative is our software program related to the whole train and bus maintenance program. We've had an internally one. It's called MMIS.
How do we ever survive in the 1940s, the 1950s, the 1960s, the 1970s, the 1980s, and even the 1990s? Transit run efficiently without any of this.
Yes, for buzzwords. Management Maintenance Information System. It's long past its tooth, so we have age. We need to go out, and we're underway now to go through a whole reassessment and procurement process related to that itself. So you could probably take 100 to 200 types of programs like that of an agency of this size and complexity, and we're going to have to work all of them through based on what the company can financially digest, what risk-wise we can actually handle, because risk in IT becomes really important, and the age of its life cycle. Some products are not supported anymore, as we know with IT, they run out. So there's a whole confluence of moving elements to this over quite a number of years. And we're also going to look internally as one of the recommendations in terms of not a board governance side, but internally oversight by executive of how we should structure the IT oversight, what projects come where, when, and how. So we put a closer thumb on the outcomes we need from IT.
Yeah. Terrible.
Did that answer your question?
It does, and because it's a huge
terrible
undertaking, and it's very, very expensive. And I remember,
of course, millions of tax dollars,
and
completely unnecessary.
having to delay finding a software solution using the internal solution because of the demand for resources in other areas of the agency. So this is something that has to be a priority moving forward.
Yeah, you're quite right. And if we do this right, I mean, sometimes the IT strategies always come back because it's always convenient to have 5-year plans. My own experience on IT transformation is more like 7 to 10 if you get really real about it, for a variety of reasons, because there's only so much an organization can digest because many of these systems interface together strategically. And so I look at this as a 7 to 10 year evolution, and at the heart of it is an opportunity of culture change, to use technology to help you enhance, get the waste out of there, and people feel very empowered to do things in highly efficient ways. So I see this. I'm actually quite excited about this long term.
Of course you are.
As a board, I mean, we see the community's desire to have more service and to make it more reliable, more convenient, and from their standpoint in technology, they don't always ship to better service, and it's a critical component to that.
Yeah, I think it's a really astute comment. It's typically your iceberg photograph where the customer sees above, but 3/4 of it's actually below. But there are things that through the IT, it's not just below the iceberg part. It Painful. Is hugely transformative.
Painful.
But there's a part of this that is products and services related. So, for example, we just received a federal grant for, I think it's about $1.2 million, a couple $1 million project. What? We're working with Visa and others in a strategic alliance right now on looking at how we modernize plan, book, and pay is the step to ultimately get to that. So we're helping pioneer that only for our agency, but actually to share it with the industry itself. So though there's a new products and services side to IT strategy, which will be part of it. We're also looking, and through Shelley Devine's really capable work and others, we're actually getting ready shortly to come out with a headset tour. We've actually been in the recording studio, so to speak, and we're going to be coming out sharing a headset tour. How do you take your fixed asset and leverage it when ridership have capacity to tie it into education, to position our brand into education and learning? New immigrants very much come to urban centers and use transit a lot of times to learn the region and the city they may be living in, as well as, so we think there's a tourist side to this, and maybe over time a revenue generation side to this, as we see in our finances. We have to come up with new ways to ensure our relevance, and there's a product piece to this as well. So I think the hop card is a strategic foundation that the board many years ago made a great decision on. It's now, how do we make that sweat? I'm in discussions right now around how do we join forces between other transit agencies, and so you can use a hop card when you get to the airport in Seattle and Sounder, and the same hop card kind of here or Hawaii. Those types of things between agencies that help drive usage. So there's a products piece as well.
It's just enough here to make you it's just so aggravating to listen to this. That's what I want to do. Uh-oh.
Meeting it was scheduled.
Oh, where was that?
We're learning and
50%. This is the organization's first ever IT.
Moving forward.
Folks, not to leave them out of the equation, because certainly they have issues and concerns as well, and may have issues that are pertinent to that discussion.
Great, thank you. Yeah, certainly racial issues is top of mind given the national environment, but that's absolutely critical. The point is, we are trying to be welcoming to all, both for our customers, but also for our own employees, so that we all feel included and can do our best work on behalf of the region.
Great. Thank you, Alan.
Yeah, big deal. Doesn't mean anything. It's nothing. Complete waste.
Any other board members want to chime in right this moment?
Get rid of it. Hurry up. Move along. I don't want to hear any more of this nonsense.
Right here. Now, I have a couple, 2 or 3 comments for you. First off, thank you. This is good. The points of emphasis, it says for 2022, but I think you also mentioned that a number of these priorities are working on right now and will be for the remainder of this fiscal year. And I guess I just point out that I am extremely interested, or maybe it's almost worried about the ridership recovery and how we actually get back to levels we want to be, not only recovering where we were
You're not going to, okay?
But also how we actually, get to the next paradigm shift in terms of really increasing our ridership. So I want to explore that one a bit more in some time about how we actually, what strategies and what we're going to entertain to actually bring people back and encourage them to get back on the system, and then obviously to do it in a big way, which is a longer term and many year effort. But I just worry about riders that we may have lost forever if we don't really take an aggressive an outreach or whatever we need to do.
TriMet ridership was already pretty damn low. I mean, it was already low. There was not many people ride TriMet, in all honesty.
To get them back and grow as we want to, and the region needs us to grow. So maybe that's comment 1. I don't know whether you want to comment on that, Doug or Alan, but that's just a real worry I have.
Yeah, I think it's a I call them wake mares. They're not nightmares, but they're not dreams either. So this is on my list as well, President Warner. Bernie and JC and team have been working extensively on this piece, and we will bring this back to the board specifically here in the next, I'm going to say, I don't know if it'll be ready for November, but likely December type of board meeting as a briefing. And so this is a really important piece here, because if there's the ridership's not coming, we have to size our business accordingly down to the essential service level at the end of the day. So this is a really foundational piece for this agency. And it's a lot of times in our world, we're really good at what we can control, but this is a customer-centric one. It's not just a build and they will come. I think the agency and the industry is going to have to become more marketing-oriented, not just communications-oriented. And we're going to have to likely to find precious dollars to invest in outreach. The topics like loyalty, I gave an example of the headset tour, other ways that we haven't contemplated maybe before, and accelerate some of those things up to go after, example, e-bikes. Instead of looking at the last mile, e-bikes give you last miles. They give the orbit where people can connect to transit because of electric bikes. They can travel hills that they never even contemplated before in really efficient ways. So I think there's examples where there's some markets maybe changing, to your point, people not traveling like they used to. They work from home. Conversely, how do we go after some of these new markets that I think we have to get our head around? So we will bring that back to the board, because you're quite right. It's critical.
Yeah. And just to follow up a little bit further, I mean, my belief is there's a lot of people that probably just don't want to get back on transit because of their fears about safety with COVID. And so, what are we going to be able to do, and how do we actually allay some of those fears and get people back? So again, I look forward to that as a robust and good discussion. Thank you.
Yeah, good one.
And then the other comment I would make is for the rest of the board, if you remember, we were doing Doug's performance review. I did send to you his first shot of the general manager objectives for fiscal year 2021. I will point out that Keith and I have been talking about some changes to that, and Doug has made some changes to reflect again, emphasis in terms of ATU relationships, management to ATU relationships, and again, the whole issue about cultural competency, equity, diversity within TriMet, and again, getting some outside view of our culture and how we're doing it. And so as I get that done with Keith a little bit, I'm going to send out another version of this, and I'd like to get the focus on this and get the board to say, yeah, this looks like the things we ought to use as emphasis for the next year. And obviously this is a big piece of that. It's already, most all of this is in Doug's draft to date. So I will get that back out to you, and then I'll do some follow-up because I think this is a perfect segue to getting that going to. And Doug, I don't know whether you have anything further you want to add on that, but I want to thank you for being flexible and working with us.
No, I think you captured it nicely. So,
of course,
I think, and those are very appropriate topics. So, very much supported.
I see Kathy Way's hand is up now, so prompted something there.
Yes, it did, Bruce. I think you just, I think you said it.
Of course, we're going to take the most important part of this and put it at the very end. That's how they do it. Take the most important part, stick it at the end. Hopefully, nobody's listening.
Right, which is how do we regain ridership? And I'm thinking particularly around folks who work in downtown because, I would say.
Well, I would like to recommend anybody that would be hearing the sound of my voice, you might want to take a look at our scanner tweets and or posts. If you want to really understand the state of the transit system, not these bullshitting liars who are all sitting on this whole bunch of these liars, fake people that don't represent anything except big ticket money and bureaucracy. Listen to the scanner. Listen to or look at my blog where I post all these calls. Real Rip City, Real Pooty on Twitter. You can hear the real state of the transit system. You can hear what's really going on and why people don't ride. It's terrible.
Who, traditionally take the max to work in our downtown core. They're just not doing that anymore.
We have a collapse of civilization in process. I would suggest you might want to take a look at Real Rip City's little periscopes of the various homeless encampments scattered all around the city. No, they just, let's not bring that up. We're all making six-figure incomes here. Every one of these people, even the ones that aren't getting paid, he's got $15,000 a month pension. Who knows what the fuck? I don't know. Leto must be $200,000 a year by now. I know Kelsey's $400,000. I think he's $200,000. I mean, these are all six-figure people. They're getting nice big fat checks for sitting at home.
Anymore because of COVID. So this is just a comment.
It's not COVID. It's government policy that's created the finance. Get it through your head. It's not the COVID that's created the economic crash. It's government policy that created it. Shutting everybody down and giving all the money to the rich people. Okay, this was an orchestrated collapse. Do you understand? And they say, it's COVID, but it's not COVID. See how brilliant they are? And everybody just falls for this. Let's see what he's got here, Pooty Baby.
Very much interested in seeing any conversations around some of those companies or some of those workplaces reopening and how that could also impact the ridership conversation. But I think this is happening all across America. So, it's not just in downtown Portland, right? This is a total shift, I think, in our workplace environment and our habits and
what is that sniffing?
Commuting. So
hear that sniffing? What is it?
I think it would also be great to bring in some maybe some national perspectives into this, or also find out how other places, but particularly
hear that sniff? Somebody's sniffing.
Downtowns all over, all over the United States are also sort of dealing with the loss in ridership.
This guy's not doing school.
It's definitely something that I think we need to consider.
Who's sniffing? Stop sniffing.
Good comments, Kathy. I agree
coming
with
out
you.
on all the
I think we
videos.
probably are going to be needing to get out of the box we're in terms of thinking about the future, just because there are some big changes that have occurred, and probably some of them, as you point out, may never come back the way we thought they were, to the way they were in the past. And so we need to use some information and get smart on this, because I think we're all going to be learning.
Pooty's just been tweeting all day. He's supposed to be doing
Alan, how we doing?
Good. Maybe just to underscore what you just said. Before COVID, we are, I think we're the 24th largest metropolitan area in the United States, but we were about 10th in terms of ridership. So we have outperformed in terms of ridership compared to many of our other peers. And we don't have complete numbers at post-COVID, but the anecdotal stuff we've heard seems to indicate that, we've lost either in keeping with or perhaps lost less than many of the other peers around the nation. That doesn't mean we can, sing our own praises. That means that we need to be even more innovative about how we push for new ridership in the future and expand all of those benefits, like I was talking about, not just ridership, but other ways to help reduce congestion, reduce greenhouse gases.
We're not even in the top 15.
The economic activity and access and opportunity that people are looking for. So all of that, the comments very much appreciated, and very much I think it's top of mind for a lot of us.
Not even in the top 22.
For us to be innovative and look for those sort of almost phase shifts in how we attract ridership and what kinds of services and how we provide our service to be able to do that. So really appreciate the comments. I guess I should also say that we know there is some perception out there about the safety of transit and COVID.
14.
And yet everything we see in terms of research and experience from other places around the world says that transit is a pretty good place to be under COVID. There have not been a number of cases traced back to transit ridership, and especially with our cleaning and efforts in place, I think people can feel some confidence being on TriMet.
I agree. Well, I want to note for Travis that it's 10 o'clock on my watch, and we're right.
If I could just jump in for a moment on Alan's last comment, are we making sure that we're getting that information out there, that that we are safe and secure in regards to COVID, and we've had a great track record, so that folks will start feeling a little bit more comfortable?
Boring as shit. Yeah, you're getting the information out there.
I'm going to have to defer to others about our external communications. I think we've been communicating about our cleaning protocols and mask requirements and things like that. But is there anybody who wants to weigh in on that?
Yeah, Alan, this is Bernie. I can jump in on that. Director Edwards, yes, that has been pretty much our only message during the last 5 or 6 months. We have, until recently, we were limited to, we were required to have 6-foot distancing between passengers, and that really limited the number of folks that we could accommodate on the system, even running at 80% of normal hours. So we weren't promoting ridership a lot at that point. In fact, our communication was to please reserve the seats on the vehicles for essential personnel such as nurses and other folks who needed to get to work, because we were seeing pass-ups leaving people on the side of the road that we couldn't accommodate on the vehicle because of the 6-foot distancing. Now that we've gone to 3-foot distancing, we're seeing a big drop-off in pass-ups, and so we're just beginning the process of starting to encourage people to come back to the system, but we're cautious in trying to match that up with the capacity, because even at 3 feet, we still have some limits on how many folks we can get on each vehicle.
Old.
Bernie.
Good. All right, now I'm going to declare victory on this conversation. And so we're now a couple minutes behind time, but I think we've got scheduled now a break for about 15 minutes, and I assume everybody would like to have a little break. All right, so why don't we reconvene at, let's just say, why don't we come back at 10:15? That'd be a 13-minute break. That work for everybody? Okay, let's assume we get right back at 10:15. Thank you.
Thank you, President Warner.
Thank you, President Warner. All right, cut off.
Present and accounted for.